Well, hello there, my crafting lovelies, and welcome to my channel, The Rocky Mountain Crafter. I am so glad that you could join me today. I am doing a technique called watercolor fake out. That's what I call it. And I'm using this stamp set by Catherine Pooler Designs called Smile Bright. It also has coordinating dies, and I will be using the die set as well. I'll be die cutting that cute little cloud. So I'm starting here with some Tim Holtz watercolor paper, and I'm setting up my We Are Memory Keepers precision press. I'm setting the plates up because I have several different plates for it. I have 3 plates in total. So I'm setting up the stamps here on those plates so that I can go back and make several cards afterwards. The stamps will already be set up. This color I'm using is Rose Petals by Catherine Pooler Inks, and I'm just inking that up. So we're going to do a watercolor fake out technique. The trick to this technique is to have your watercolor brush or your paintbrush right away after you've stamped, immediately after you've stamped, so that the ink is still wet, and then you can take your brush and blend out that ink immediately. It will not work if it's dry. Ask me how I know. I went and I did a full rainbow, all the colors of the rainbow here. Like I think there's 4 stamps in this set that I'm using to make these rainbows. And I went and did all 4, one after the other, before I watercolored. And after trying to watercolor them once the ink was dry, it didn't hardly move at all. It didn't make a difference. So the technique is to do the watercoloring portion right away, mix those stamp inked images immediately after they are stamped and the ink is wet. And so that is exactly what I'm doing here, just blending out those colors, and once I have these plates all set up, oh, it just goes so easy afterwards. I actually did quite a few panels, and you will see those in a little while. So here I'm just inking up that 4th color. And the colors that I'm using are from the Spa collection of Catherine Pooler inks. So Catherine Pooler has 2 different color families. She has the Party collection, which is more saturated, brighter colors, and she has the Spa collection, which is more muted colors. And under each collection, so for the Party collection, there's different families of colors that all coordinate together, like 4 or 5 different families. And under the Spa collection, same thing. There's 4 or 5 different color families that all coordinate together. So these colors here that I'm using is not all in one color family. I've pulled them from a couple of color families. Apothecary for sure, and I'm not sure of the other ones that I've pulled from, but just mixing and matching colors to what I liked, what I wanted to do, how I felt in the moment. So here's the other panels that I was talking about, and they are, yeah, just beautiful. I picked the best 3, and then I go and I die cut those out. Oh, I guess I'm also using the rainbow die as well as the cloud die. So here I've cut out those rainbows. I'm going to pop those up onto my card panel. And here I'm just creating my card panel, like the front panel of my card, not my card base. And I've cut these panels to be 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And I'm just going to grab my precision press, and I use the foam here because I want to get a nicer image, and I find if you put a foam or something soft behind it, it just makes a more uniform image. And so I'm going to stamp some of these clouds up. I believe this is Lilac ink here that I'm using for these purple clouds. So I stamp off first because I want a softness to the clouds. I don't want them to be too harsh. And same here with the whipped honey. I stamp it off first. And same here with rose petals. I stamp it off first. So I do that on all 3 card backgrounds, and I'm just replacing that foam piece on the precision press. And then I'm coming in and I'm going to stamp the sentiment. So for this one here, I'm using the word bright. And I use lilac ink on this, and I just stamp this one sentiment all uniform, all one color. And I have that in my precision press, and I'm stamping that up. And I do it twice just because I wanted it to be a little bit darker, and they're brand new stamps. Sometimes they don't stamp perfectly the first time. But I got a great image there. And then I go in with the words that precede the word bright, and those are today is looking. So that's what it says, today is looking bright. Then I grab that rainbow that I fake out watercolored, and I pop that up with some foam tape. I want the rainbows to be the focal point of these cards. And I take a Color Play pre-made card base. These things are awesome. You guys, I'm linking all of these products below the video. It's easy shopping for you guys. So you can click on those and it'll take you right to where you need to be. And I'm just putting some glue onto the back of this panel and popping that right onto the card base. Then I take another panel that I have made here with the pink clouds. I did all the clouds different colors. And this word smile, I'm doing two-toned. So I go in with rose petals here first, and then whipped honey, or maybe it's pink champagne. I can't remember, but it's one of those two pinks. And then I do the whipped honey, and then I just do the darker color on half of it afterwards and blend it out with a blending brush. So here's all three cards. Now, this was an afternoon that I spent making these cards, and when I went to bed that night, look at my fingernails. First of all, point at my fingernails, no nail polish. I went to bed that night, and I thought about these cards, and I didn't love that the clouds are taking away from the background. So here the next day, again, look at my fingernails. I must have had rose petals on my mind because I used that color, rose petals, and I did my fingernails like rose petals. But anyways, I'm taking the cloud die here because the clouds on the background of those cards I just felt took away from the star of the show, which is supposed to be the rainbows. So here I'm just color ink blending some of those exact same colors I used on the stamped images of the clouds. I'm color blending now onto the cloud die cuts. And so it just makes for a softness. It just, oh, they're just buttery. They're just fluffy. They're just everything that I wanted these cards to be. So now I just cut that one in half. It was easier to do it that way, just to cut that one cloud in half. And just putting these right over top of those stamped images, no problem. And now these have fluffy, buttery goodness, all of them. I did all three. And I went from liking these cards that night before, like literally in bed, can't sleep because of these cards, to loving it. You guys, I love these cards now. I love the way they turned out. You guys, I thank you so much for joining me today and watching. I am the Rocky Mountain Crafter. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also like my Facebook page at the Rocky Mountain Crafter, Instagram at the Rocky Mountain Crafter, and I do have a blog, therockymountainCrafter.com. You can sign up for emails to get automatically sent to your inbox at my blog. Thank you guys so much for watching today. Take care and have a lovely week. Bye-bye.